First off, big shouts going out to Stonebwoy and his team creating this plot for themselves and getting it there. Number one, hands down. Number two, again, I can imagine how difficult it will be to go into such a conversation because definitely there are going to be a lot of things to be discussed. And everything you say shall and will be held against you in the court of media. Definitely. And we can first off rate Stonebwoy's performance in terms of how he was engaged and how he answered questions on the platform. And on such platforms where the world is watching, everything you say definitely will be critiqued, listen to carefully and analyze. A bit of what we're doing here this morning on the show here at On Culture Daily. And that brings us to our conversation this morning as well. Does the media connect or disconnect us? I'll tell you what. Well, Stonebwoy was in there to talk about, his music, his latest song, his new song, as well as his upcoming show that was going to be held. I think it's in New York, right?
Yeah.
It's in New York. Well, that bit came at the 33rd minute of the conversation, but they did a conversation around a lot of things where they discussed his, his career, certain incidents that have happened to him as well, basically his journey, and asked his opinions on certain black-related conversations. Well, if you haven't had the chance to check out the video, it's online. You can watch it. I'm very sure you can check it out on his page as well.
Yeah, we also have a story of it on our website.
Yes, and you can check out the story also on 3music.tv on our website. You can find it there. Thank you very much. And that brings us to a conversation about the media and its role and responsibility, especially against celebrities. Sometimes people say that some people have the perception that the media carries this agenda of trying to either misinform, disconnect, create unnecessary enmity among people. At the same time, in another breath, same people might come back and say that the media isn't given enough support for on their products and their music, and all that. In another breath, it's also the media has promoted my music and I like it, thanks to the media and the support. Where do we stand? We want to understand this properly, whether the media is connecting or disconnecting a lot of the conversations or creating different imaging or branding around people. Now we have seen what's going on between the likes of Kojo Sheldon and Shatta Wale. We've seen what's going on between same Kojo Sheldon and and Abeku Santana. We've seen Jupiter the General. He was here as well. He just started off on Twitter, airing his his sentiments on issues that have happened with Hits FM as well, a multimedia subsidiary, and quite a number of other incidents that have happened between individuals, especially celebrities and media houses. Even here at 3Music, we've had ours. As well. Well, we'll be going into the conversations, but first, let's do a quick run around our table to talk about Stonebwoy's interview on the Breakfast Club, some of the things he said, and the fact that I'm very sure he went in there to talk about his music and the upcoming show, but it did end up with touching on so many things. And the point about the VGMAs and how he answered it, are we going to expect a clap back from the band in question?
Well, you know it better than we do. So
let's, official, unofficial PR, I'll come back to that. But anyway, let me start. Let's start off with you, and then we come this way too.
Yes, sir.
Yes, please. Let's start off with your... you are a strong Stonebwoy fan. What is your general feedback?
I'm actually a BIM Nation executive.
A BIM Nation executive, yes.
Unofficial.
Secretary
to the president.
He's a BNE. Yeah.
What would you like to know about BIM? For English, press 1.
For English, press 1. So your general feedback on how Stonebwoy, answer these questions, especially what we've been zoomed in on?
I think he handled himself well overall. There were some moments that personally I would have expected some other direction to the conversation, but then again, we don't know what premeditated it for the hosts, for Charlemagne and Envy and Yi. So they were doing their thing, and basically it's a hot seat, right? They say it's the most dangerous breakfast show in the world. That's what they label it. So they are not there to push your agenda as a guest. They are there to push the agenda they want to push. They've had Kevin Hart there talking about his extramarital affair. They've had P. Diddy there talking about people saying he owes them money and he's a savage and he just uses people. People go on Breakfast Club and get ripped apart, right? So in the holistic context of everything, Stonebwoy did a great job because I don't see any scandal coming out of this. Of course, he made statements about the VGMA incident that maybe, if you're on the other side, you will have a rebuttal to that. That's not how it happened, or why are you saying that? But that's part of the press, right?
But I feel that's not how it happened. I mean,
narration?
Something that's
very
gone.
Honest, on that incident, and somebody might say I'm holding brief for Shatta on this, but I don't think Shatta Wale was coming on there to cause any form of chaos or. I think it was.
You know the story of the boy.
But anyway,
you know the story of the. You know the story of the boy who cried wolf. When you do something so many times, right? People get to know that this is what you do.
As in Shatta coming on stage.
No, not Shatta coming on stage. Shatta being unpredictable, right? If
Really,
like when Will Smith, let me compare the two incidents. Let me.
You can't predict Shatta Wale.
No, you can't predict it. That's what I'm saying.
Yeah. You can't predict it.
You can't predict it. And I'm saying that when Will Smith hopped on stage, nobody knew what to expect.
Unpredictable.
We thought he was going to do a stand-up. It was a joke. They were going to make us laugh. And then, boom, he hits the guy in the jaw. Right? Now, looking at the tension between Stone and Shatta, as at that time, Shatta going on the stage, nobody, let's be honest, none of us thought it was something positive or it was what he said it was. He said he was going to congratulate his brother.
But funny enough, that's what I actually thought was going to happen. I don't know, I wasn't in the auditorium.
I wasn't in the auditorium with that, but when I saw it, my first thing was like, what happened?
You know, when I saw him go on the stage, I actually thought that he was going there to join and
regardless,
anyway,
right?
I mean, that's just our own opinions here.
Regardless, all I'm saying is everybody has a right to the story. You tell it how it best suits your brand. That's how it happens. So I don't expect Stonebwoy to go there and inflict self-damage to his brand. Regardless, I'm not saying go and fabricate or go and be dishonest, but it's your perspective. And if that's the perspective that Stonebwoy had, for which the incident occurred, that's his perspective. We can't rob him of that. You can be objective and say, hey, that's not how I saw it.
But exactly.
But that's how he saw it. And he's the subject of the situation. So for me, it's not about truth or is he misleading or no. That's his perspective. Let's let him tell his truth. Overall, the interview, the conversation, it was holistic. They brought out certain aspects of conversations that he doesn't usually get questioned here. Like, I would think Stonebwoy has been to the strip club 1 or 2 times, but apparently he's not been there before. So
I think he spoke like a father at that point in time, you know, considering a lot of things that maybe my kids might come back and be watching.
I know Stonebwoy is a father. But in the back of my mind, I wouldn't have been surprised if I've not been to Silver Fox. But if I do go to Silver Fox and I see Stonebwoy, actually, unfortunately, I've not been. If I enter Silver Fox and I see Stonebwoy there, I wouldn't be surprised. I'd high-five him and we would chill. You understand? But the perspective he brought out, he's never been, is about home training and discipline and having the resources and having that quote-unquote hustler mindset. You know, growing up not really having much and having to strive for everything. He spoke a lot about that aspect of his life. So that perspective as an answer to the strip club question was a new perspective for me. Because a dancehall reggae artist, you would expect, you've seen dancehall culture, you've seen music culture, you would expect that the strip club is a comfortable place for him. But he went totally against the grain in that particular line of question, and I was happy about that. But overall, I'm pleased with the interview.
Do you think this interview was, and maybe I should throw that to GSO, do you think this interview was how do I say it, plugged for Stonebwoy, I mean, to go there to promote his music, or possibly an invitation thrown from the conversation they had, or he was invited to come on the show?
Oh, either way, it's the most important
because
thing
that would determine the answer on what we speculate. It would determine what the kind of line of conversation.
Even here in Ghana, it's not every time that we get to call artists to come on our shows. There are times when they have a project, they call us and say, oh, I want to be on your show. Just as money, I was telling our producers that some artists have reached out that they want to be on the show. There are times when you need them for a conversation. So either ways, the most important thing is that the person showed up on the show.
Yeah, so on the line of questioning, all the way to the end where therapy was just handled for barely a minute or a minute or less. And
remember, his show was also talked about.
And the show he was going to have,
whether a minute or less, but they still.
I think the whole interview was about 35 minutes or so.
Yep.
Yeah, and around 33 minutes. 33 minutes is when they started talking about the music.
Well, I must say,
they asked which song he wants to play.
And then he asked them whether his song or...
Yeah, he spoke briefly about therapy at a point in time.
Yeah, the therapy conversation generated the patriarchal conversation where he was asked why he likes to be lied to. And then it became a conversation for a bit where the lady says, oh, men like to be lied to. And he says he liked to be lied to. And I think some of the guys also, I think the Charlie said he didn't like to be lied to. So that developed that conversation of submissiveness and what a man would want from a woman and why. He said, I think the question was that...
No, that was actually...
The question was about...
That was actually before.
It was before the therapy thing.
Yeah.
Okay, so the question was about how they have learned that African men spend on their women.
Yeah, because Lala mentioned
and she also mentioned that her friend had come to Africa and said that the men were that generous. And he said in response that it was an issue of the man wanting to be in control. Some feminists have an issue with that the man wanting to be controlled. He wants to be able to pay your bills, be able to, give the direction, basically, of what it should be. I think that fairly, I enjoyed the interview. I won't lie to you. I watched from start to finish without breaking because I was like, what's going to come next? In interviews like this, we need to be fair to ourselves. You don't have a synopsis of what they're going to ask you. Even if you do, it's a general synopsis. They say, oh, we'll talk about your career, why you're in the States.
Did you see at the point in time, Charlemagne had printed, there was papers, documents laying next to him where he was making references to research.
Yeah, and it tells you how detailed these people were before the interview.
Don't you think that he would be given heads up on the conversations that they'll be having?
No, we don't. Even here, we don't do that.
No, I'm just saying that it could be possible that
we'll tell you, oh, what are we discussing? Oh, we're discussing your career. We're discussing how far you've come with your music. We're talking about the year. I'm assuming we're talking about, because if it was me giving a synopsis to an artist I'm inviting, these are the things I also, we talk about your career. We'll talk about maybe how far you've come. Oh, the year of return is popping. Everybody's coming to. But I won't tell you that as part of your career, I'm asking you about VGME. I will tell you that, except you come, and sometimes people come and say, oh, we're talking about your career, but this part of the career, I do not want to tackle. So there are people who have the right to say things like that. But there are even me, when you tell me, oh, my haircut, the way it's looking in person, I don't want to talk about it. For me, if it's what the people want to hear, I'll find my way around it. I might not say, oh, your hairstyle, are you trying to become like this person? I might find a way to get you to speak about it, which is the prerogative of an interviewer, because you want to get what the people want to hear. And if I go on the internet and I'm Googling about you and I type Jay Foley, I type news, definitely it will pop up.
You know, one of the mistakes that I feel sometimes we media, and I'm adding Breakfast Club to, Lenny just came into the studio. Hey, Lenny.
Hey, Lenny, come sit down.
Yeah, she should join us.
But before you even go ahead, I've had a lot of conversations about, and I know you're going to go there. So before you go there, let me just knock on that door.
Knock on that door.
And that's people say, Ghanaian media, when the people come to promote their music, you're asking them about this, that. I think that now I have a reference point. Before, I used to make reference to Michael Jackson's interview with Oprah. I watched that interview and I cringed. I don't know if anybody has seen that interview. She was actually interviewing him from his house or his studio or something. The kind of things Oprah asked Michael Jackson, I'm like, if it's in Ghana, his preference for women and blah, blah, like the kind of things I heard in that interview. So every time when people said that, okay, let's look at this Oprah and Michael Jackson interview. But now I don't have to even go extreme. I have an artist that I know, and who is not complaining to Breakfast Club that I came here to do have a conversation about my music and my concert or my show. Why are you asking me about Pan-Africanism? Why are you asking me about how Nkrumah what? Or why are you asking me about things like that?
That's the issue I have sometimes with we media. I think maybe sometimes we get a bit lost out with the depth of knowledge of the person in front of us and the kind of questions that we are asking of, because then you set the person up to a point where he or she might easily fail. Then you might also have another argument that, look, if you don't know the information, say you don't know it and then leave run away with it. So you don't have people on your case, because in getting deep about tribes and all the things we're talking about there, I felt at one point in time that, look, the last person to be asking this to is Stonebwoy. Don't be asking him this question. He's not the one who started some certain things. He may have a fair idea about it, but taking him back into independence and also speak on certain things that are nationalistic and would need heavy research before you get there to speak on those things, especially on the platform that they sit on. You set the person up to possibly give you false information that might come back to haunt the person. Hence the conversation about what we are having here sometimes, that we are having here this morning, that is the media connecting or disconnecting us. So I had a problem at certain points with the kind of questions that were put to Stonebwoy.
Yeah, but I was so excited
about how he handled it, or
about how he handled it, and then the questions that were put to him on an international platform where. And again, the excitement for me as someone who, a journalist, let me put it that way, is that, again, we haven't seen anybody complain yet. Oh, why did you ask him this question? But again, the excitement for me watching an interview like that is that now everybody's got to be on their toes. When you're invited for an interview, you don't have a script as to how the questions are going to be, who is going to ask what and what. So you go there with a clear mind and say, oh, anything can happen. What am I prepared to answer? What can I even say I do not know much about, and I'm not ready to speak to the issue? What can I even, be very political about? And like some of the conversations, like if you really followed, you realize he was political at a certain point about certain things that he was asked. If it was a kitchen table, we're having this conversation, some of the conversation, he would be that hard. Maybe also because of the environment he found himself, wanting to tap into that market and not offend them. And that is the part that I love, because this is a market you are not yet fully accepted. And so you're like, okay, let's say it this way so that I get lovers than hate. So I love the diplomacy at certain point, even though the Ghanaians who know exact truth will say, oh, this guy was... But he found himself in a space that he needed to carry himself in a certain light.
I think it would be very difficult. Like, it won't be easy to sit in there and talk.
I'm telling you.
Like, it won't be easy to sit there. I mean, first off, there'll be a bit of tension knowing that, look.
Well, I could sense the tension.
Yeah.
Oh, you sensed it?
And many a time when he was asked questions, he didn't answer directly. He had to, especially the question about the music, about the other kinds of music in Africa. It was at that point in time, it was Stonebwoy for Africa. He handled it perfectly. He could have selfishly said Ghana and all, but I was thinking
that's also a complaint on social media.
I was thinking about him and how his other fans across Africa will feel that. Hey, bro.
Let me just say that. Miss G has actually said a lot of things I was looking to say, but I'll just add a few more.
Do you have an in here?
No, I don't.
Don't mind
Ricky says that if Miss G has said everything,
don't mind
then I should turn off your mic.
No, because you see, I watched the interview and I watched it with all the objectivity there was. First of all, I watched it as a journalist watching another journalist in a different ecosystem and how the interview or the conversation was handled, right? So what I saw was a direction. I saw the intentionality to make the interview about the artist and his background. So what does this mean? Stonebwoy is the first Ghanaian artist to be at the Breakfast Club. Historic. Fantastic one, right? The reason why I'm saying that there's a lot of tension is that as the first Ghanaian artist, you are the tastemaker for the rest who are going to come after you. So these guys will definitely use the opportunity.
I'm sorry, but DJ Envy has interviewed Kwesi Arthur before, or was it DJ Envy? Who interviewed?
No, that was Ebro. That was Ebro.
No, I don't mean Breakfast Club. I'm saying
he Envy. Is it Envy? Is called the one we did recently on Unpacking?
I know Ebro.
Ebro.
It's Ebro. Yeah, Old Man Bro from Apple Music.
Yeah,
that's what I. Yeah,
okay, yeah. Now,
when you step into a room like that, you are no longer just a Stonebwoy we know as an artist. You have now become a representation of a whole country and a continent. I mean, continent maybe because the Nigerians have already been there, so they've spoken about a bit about it. But this time it is you speaking on behalf of Ghana. But if you look at the questions, they talk about the fact that why isn't that Ghana music hasn't attained the success Nigerian has?
That was a difficult question.
Yes, and I like
very difficult question.
To be very honest, I like the fact that he admitted that we are still trying to crack the code.
Yeah.
That was the answer for me. I think he should have just left it there. But I also think that when he went further to say, if Nigeria wins, it's a win for all, it's a very fantastic diplomatic answer.
Very.
Because, of course, many people will have, varied responses to that because Nigeria is doing something and blah, blah, blah. At that point in time, I don't think that was a place to show that we are trying to compete with each other. I don't think, me personally, if you ask me, I don't think we are competing with each other.
Because he's got Nigerian friends.
Exactly.
Sure.
But
he's got Nigerian customers.
I'm sure
fans.
in his team, there are Nigerians, so there's a Nigerian just behind the door.
Exactly, And they even further went to ask about...
it could be a Nigerian who plugged him into the interview, Yeah.
Well, they also further asked him about the festivals. We've had this conversation here. Mm-hmm. Why Nigerian artists seem to be the ones headlining Ghanaian
major
festivals. Do you get it? And then I also like the fact that he says, "Oh no, then you guys have it wrong because
I headlined it.
Because I headlined. I'm only done it once. I've done it 3 times. Fantastic answer. These guys kept poking him. Mm-hmm. They kept poking him, and he held his ground. Although you could sense the tension. Mm-hmm. Now it gets to the
But
point.
apart from that, although it was facts.
Yeah, it was.
It was facts they were asking, putting to him because obviously, even if his head did like how many times since inception, we still have their numbers.
We still have the numbers. Yeah. I mean, I think he held his own. He held his own, and I could also tell that some of the questions, although he might have been prepped, I'm still trying to get information from the team if indeed they were briefed or something. But some of the questions clearly were coming from a place of, okay, we have you where we want you, and we want you to answer on behalf of the whole nation. That is how I saw it. We have you where we want you, and because they started talking about McMusing, and they thought Stonebwoy was the best person to give a response to.
But I love his response.
It was on behalf of the whole
I love his
country.
response.
You know how I felt for him?
Response that
I felt for
always...
him at that moment? I felt like, okay, maybe he and Meek Mill are cool. Okay, maybe they're friends.
No. I think it was fair.
You know when I said
small jab and small paddy.
But when I said that some of the conversation, if you have it over the kitchen table, you won't get to the same way.
And you could tell that there was a glimpse of that there.
Yeah.
Because he was like, Charlie, if I came to the White House, bro.
Yeah.
And I knew that
when he started that place, I said, what is coming next?
You blushing me.
Yeah.
No, but he did well.
But he did really
well. And I don't think he saw that coming, personally. I don't think because he went there to promote his music, his project, and his concert. Right?
I'm sure he was hoping that the conversations were
going to be around that area.
Music, how did you get here? How did you do this?
But Fasa, okay, cool. That's okay. So he spoke about the Milky Way thing. Fantastic response. My little challenge was when the conversation moved away from that to woke conversations like patriarchy, submission, misogyny, and the African man. Because if you look at the body language of Nini, who was sitting opposite him, you could tell that she was like,
And that's why when they ask about
those people, they take
you get me? Yeah. I don't want to be controlled. I don't want to do this. I want to do that.
Yeah.
You've entered their zone with that because these are the kind of conversations they have.
Yeah.
They see things differently from the way we see things, right? And so I was like, and Efo was straight to the point. He was like, yo, in Africa.
And I like his Akon example.
Exactly.
He just topped it all.
You get me? This is what it is in Africa. Yeah. This is the truth. It's not like I'm coming to tell you that. But he also said, the times are changing. Education obviously is being made to some of these things, so they're going because he even used an example like the grandfather has seven wives.
That was a brilliant way.
You see, so that was how he got out of it. That's why I'm saying that whatever it is, at the end of the day, what I'm trying to say is you tend to see that this artist or this brand has some kind of media training.
Yeah, I gathered that Stonebwoy is you can see he's learned.
Yes.
Yeah.
Taught leadership, basically. Yeah. And I also want to I don't know if it comes with the label, but you could tell that they made him understand the environment he was going into and the kind of conversations he was going to have. Because truly, like Miji said, if it were to be in Ghana, the conversation would be like, but he came here to promote his song. He came here to promote
which will be coming to.
So why
the point Miji raised, which will be coming to.
Something I noticed visually, right, and with the energy in the room. And comparatively, when we have our big stars enter a studio or a media platform in Ghana, they are the spotlight of the moment.
Yeah.
And it seems everything else revolves around them.
Yeah.
That didn't happen in this interview. Stonebwoy was the small guy.
Yeah, no, but to
Exactly.
be fair, it's because he's not a
Stonebwoy-
king
no.
in that country.
Yeah.
That's exactly my point. And that is the culture that the Breakfast Club has created.
They
I
make
mentioned
you a
international.
Stonebwoy.
Kanye go Breakfast Club, he sweat.
Yeah,
he tired.
Jay-Z to the same thing.
Yeah,
Birdman, the
if
same
Kanye
thing.
went to Breakfast Club and
Birdman even
tired,
had
and
to walk
Stonebwoy
out
has
at
done
some
great.
point.
Yeah,
When you
Birdman
like,
got- yeah.
yeah, Birdman
That was when he
It's
said,
like,
put some respect on my
put some
name.
respect on my name.
Birdman walked out.
You understand?
Yeah.
Because it was inquisitive of them for Stonebwoy because he was coming as an ambassador of Africa,
Right.
an ambassador in talent and giant in Ghana, and then as an individual trying to push music. So they wanted to know things from every facet of what Stonebwoy was coming with. It wasn't like a Kanye that they have all the background in the world and they have to dig in deep to poke about some Kim Kardashian question or whatever. For Stonebwoy, it was very relaxed for him and he knew this going in.
Yeah.
Right, you know this going in.
Even with the service fiasco,
Yeah,
with Charmaine, I feel like anything that was about Ghana, Stonebwoy was like our Jomenta.
Yeah, it was a de facto.
He had to defend us
Because
because
we are also waiting to hear if he doesn't defend.
you get me. And
So
I
this
think
is
he did
what
a
I gather
fantastic
from the
job
three
in
of
there.
them.
Yes.
The three hosts.
Yeah.
Envy is the make peace guy.
Yeah, he's a ref.
Yeah.
He's the referee.
Yes.
They say that's Jeffrey.
You see, that's you.
He's the referee.
Charlemagne I'll ask you. That's easy. I'll ask you because I want to know.
Yeah, I want to know.
Tell me. Yes.
Yeah.
What, Nini, right?
Nini, I think she's just a guest. She was a celebrity guest host.
Yeah.
The last time was Lala.
Yeah. Okay. So she's a
Yeah.
celebrity. She's a celebrity
Yes.
guest. That comes.
Initially,
in.
they had one lady that forgotten her name. She's not
So,
with the club.
so exactly. So to those who sometimes come hard at Miss G, I think that you have to understand that
Yeah, pass
you have to. We have to have. You must have someone to.
This G said they should come harder.
The
Bro,
tough question.
If I have
Bro,
their
you see,
time, we'll do
yesterday
it.
I was saying this. I was saying
Yeah.
like, as journalists, right, don't respond or report to fan armies. When an artist walks into the studio to have a conversation, like Cyril said, the spotlight is not just on your artist; it's on the conversation.
Yeah.
The conversation is looking to inform, educate, perhaps
And
at some point
entertain.
entertain.
Please, when Asamoah missed the penalty against Uruguay, and then Dede Ayew missed his, the second Dede Ayew missed his, Asamoah was exonerated. That's what people started showing Asamoah like.
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
the second that these questions were thrown to Stonebwoy,
Yeah.
I felt Miss G's.
No, I mean, for
Nobody.
me, I think.
Yes, like.
me,
No, like that's how I feel. I'm like, okay, so they can ask him these questions and
Because-
nobody will be complaining.
Yeah,
Okay,
because
then we
this
are
is-
not doing
this is
anything.
like
Because it's in
Mickey
the
asking,
America. It's in the America.
Why?
asking,
Ghana, yeah, we should. You see what?
Camilo,
That's the problem. No, but that's the real reason.
But let me
it's
tell you
in that,
something.
It's the same reason
And
why.
it's the mindset that we
It's the
have.
mindset.
It's because in America, as for us here,
Yeah,
we should not ask questions, but they will come and say, we are not using BBC standard.
the woke
You are not
people-
using that standard.
Because
the
the
journalism
woke
has
people
not
call
taught
it-
us what.
The woke people call it
With
self-hate.
regards to this patriarchy.
Patriarchy.
Yeah,
Patriarchy, yeah.
asking a question around it,
Yeah.
and taking a stance that he's not in favor of
Yeah.
hearing a man talk like this. How would we? Let's even take Miss G out. Let's replace it with any other female presenter. How would we perceive, or is it because of the cultural difference? How we perceive the person? And you see, that's why it brings us to our conversation about is the media connecting or disconnecting us? It's like we don't. And Cyril says it. This one, I'm accepting with I'm raising my hands.
For zero.
Yeah, I'm raising my hands.
Thank you.
Hey,
thank
pa,
you,
pa,
thank
pa,
you,
pa,
thank
pa.
you.
That you guys, what you said is true. We hate the truth. We don't want to hear the truth.
No, we don't.
It offends us.
But even
And
Stonebwoy
then-
said it in that interview.
Yeah, and we react. Yes, he did
He
say
said-
it.
Yeah.
And we do react with being offensive. The first when someone puts,
It's a defense mechanism.
a defense mechanism.
Yeah,
is there,
because we
you know.
have some level of self-hate that, like, we have to say it, right? That makes things that are external to us more appealing and tolerable. But when it's the same situation, but it's something that we can relate to internally, we choose the negative response because we see ourselves in the problem.
Yeah.
Do you get it? So if you bring, let's say Stonebwoy came here, and we spent 15 minutes on misogyny and patriarchy and men should treat women, blah blah blah. The listener, right, is putting himself
In Stonebwoy's
in Stonebwoy's shoes, and it's not comfortable because
Yeah.
they don't have an
Yeah,
answer
it's
to
a-
that
yeah,
question.
yeah.
So they are, instead of saying, hey, you know what, there's some pungent conversation. How do I really feel about this topic?
Yeah.
No, the reflex is, which kind of question be this?
Yeah.
The guy come there to promote the music way, fully they ask him about women and things.
Yeah.
So defense mechanism first, and then
what you're saying, at that point in time, the media is trying to connect.
Yeah, exactly.
But also at that same point in time, perhaps the Bluetooth of the listener is not ready to pair up. Because it is hitting the point.
Okay, so case study. So case study now. Now that you've all, thank God I've got you all on the same page, and I'm very happy about this because that was
Can
the
I read a
agenda.
message from Amma Frimpong?
Yes, please.
So that we don't have to go
Yes,
back to it.
please.
So Amma Frimpong, your friend from NLE, she says it was a platform to market himself to the world. There is no a bad PR.
Yep.
It says, I love how he was composed. The most important thing is that, and this is also an issue for some people on social media, the most important thing is that he didn't go there to promote someone else.
Yeah.
People said all through his interview,
It was him.
it was about him. Even when he was doing the VGMA thing, he never mentioned the name of his opponent.
It was about him.
It was about him. And my brother, and people on social media say, like, I won't give you the spotlight. Don't come and take, so some people also have complained, while some people also see it as a good thing he did, that he never made reference to any other artist but concentrated on himself. The only time he had to make reference to artists was when he talked about Davido, Benna, and look at what he even said. He says Wizkid virtually lives in Ghana.
Yeah.
Davido is like a brother. We connect almost all the time. And Benna has said that he got his inspiration from Ghana.
Okay, so now that you are all on the
also-
same page with this, I'm very happy.
Put this. We can get back
Okay.
to it later, but
Yeah.
we made I said something yesterday, or was it the day before, about, it was yesterday, fan bases.
Yes.
About how our stars do the fan bases music and promotion.
Yeah.
Music consumption and promotion. And because that's what fan bases become used to, the media is also skewed to pull only that aspect out of the artist. Right? Because the fans are not waiting for a holistic, like, honest to God. How many Ghanaian fans care about Stonebwoy's view on patriarchy?
They don't.
No, until he makes it, you'll be surprised at people who
You make
care.
it look very
No,
stupid.
I don't make it look stupid. I'm relatively. Stonebwoy has millions of
I
fans.
can give you an answer.
Bro, the ratio. Okay, out of Stonebwoy's millions fans. Out of Stonebwoy's millions of fans.
Yeah.
Do you think 5%
He
care
said
about his
millions
views?
fans.
Millions
No,
fans.
today he's back
So
left,
it's
I've left him.
it's 3-1-1.
It's a lie. You said something during Sports Direct.
What does it?
I've forgotten. Now
My God is good. But you get what I'm saying. We are used to consuming Olele's content because he dances. So dance. That's why we brought you here. Dance, let's laugh, ha ha ha, entertain and go. Whether you are Christian, Muslim, Democrat,
Polygamous.
This polygamous, that we don't. That's not you. You are not a lecturer. You are not a philosopher. That's not why we brought you. But Breakfast Club is not that platform. Breakfast Club is not going to bring
What club?
Breakfast.
Breakfast. Too much. Now I'm paying attention.
3, 2, 1.
Okay.
3, 2, 1. We are counting now.
Olele.
Olele, I'll tell you something. Olele, sit up.
Charlie.
Breakfast. Anyway, I should have let you continue.
I know, right?
So Breakfast Club is not your typical music promotion platform.
Right.
In general.
Yeah.
They will ask you about music and blah blah because it's part of your brand and it's part of what you do. But Breakfast Club is there to push their conversations. They spoke to Diddy about he cheated.
Yeah.
Diddy cheated, his relationship, do blah 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 blah. And he was on the table. They asked him plain. That, so you're a cheat? They looked, Angela, you looked at Diddy across the table and said, so you're a cheat? Imagine if we had Sarko there right now. This place would all be bent. They would come for all of us.
Hold on. So I beg you. So that brings to the conversation that I want to ask that. Case study. Sarkodie against Hits FM. Case study. Did Hits, and I'm sorry to make, because it was a trending conversation, so no attack to any of the brands. It's a question. Did Hits do right by Sark, or it's a...
I think they should have driven
Did the
the
media
conversation.
house do right by the artist? And that's what we want to discuss.
I think they should have driven the conversation to an intended point of resolution. 5 big English words. Let me break it down. So, it's nice asking the question, but how do you want the thing to end? Right? Do you want to engineer it to end with, hey, we've actually spoken to Samini at the back end. He doesn't really have a beef with you or anything. It's just that we are sure there was a miscommunication and blah, blah, blah. But guess what? We have a number line. We can actually squash this now. That's a legend. You're a legend. Let's make this happen.
And then not to say that Hits has been also very influential in resolving
definitely.
The issue between Tiny, that whole thing.
Yeah, they've done it many times in the past. I'm just saying that with this particular thing, it was open-ended. You asked the question, took his feedback, the call thing happened, and then the show went on. The can of worms was open. It wasn't cleared up. It wasn't emptied. Nothing was done to it, and then it was left ajar. And then social media took that can of worms and turned it into a whole different thing. The opportunity to turn the problem from establishing the problem and providing a solution to it and owning that beautiful moment was missed.
Because it was an open end.
Because it was open-ended. You asked me, Olele, so the time you slapped Miss G, what really happened? You will say what you say and we close. But guess what? Miss G's fans are going to come for you until that issue is resolved.
Yeah.
As compared to, we actually have Miss G here. She says she's forgiven. Everything is fine. We want to spend the last 10 minutes closing off with you guys. That's a closed-ended interview. So you need to engineer these things that you can ask the most controversial story you want. But be conscious that
another instance
you bring it down and land the plane
your old home.
You see,
there's another one that goes to your old home, please.
Okay.
Whilst you add it to your answer.
Sure.
John DeMello and
The guy.
and Umaru.
Yes.
Again, after that interview, it looked as if Umaru had positioned John as a partly
naive actor, wannabe politician.
Yes, that's how it came out, as that the questions were very tough political. What level of knowledge you know in politics, and all that. That's what I took out of the interview.
Jeff, even for that,
Umar is a very, very intelligent journalist.
For that, it's just like, how do I put this? It's just like applying for a job, right? Before you go to the interview, before you go for an interview, you need to read about the company and know certain things about the company, so that when you are asked, you are not caught, hanging somewhere. Journalists and media personalities have built profiles for themselves over the years. Just as a journalist will go through the painstaking process to research on information about you, you also should not just see the interview as just any interview.
Any interview, yeah. I agree.
We at Culture Daily are looking to position ourselves in the way that when an artist decides to come here, he should come prepared. Because we're not only going to ask you what your music is doing in Togo or Benin. We're going to go deeper and deeper and deeper, because we want
to Miss G on a lot of research that she does before you step into
exactly.
Miss G's Wi-Fi is strong.
Her Wi-Fi is very strong.
The Wi-Fi is strong.
Because the whole idea is, we know about your music already. We jumped your music already. But many people may not know certain things about you. Your beliefs, your religious beliefs, your spirituality, like we had with Familia and so on and so forth, which was accorded or perhaps acknowledged as one of our best interviews. In the same thing with Sarkodie, because we didn't just have a conversation about his music. We also went into Sarkodie's mind, music business, to be at the top for the last 10 years. What has kept you there? What is your business acumen? What have you understood about this music business the last 10 years that you could even pass on to other generations? So as an artist going to an interview, you need to know who you're going to talk to. So if if Delay invites me for an interview, I know the profile Delay has. I know Delay is going to poke me.
Done work on me before.
It's like fighting an opponent. Exactly. You know that his left jab is strong.
Exactly.
You don't go and leave your left jaw,
right?
The whole fight.
And then I will find it surprising when I go on a Delay show and she's not the Delay I know. Yeah. Then I will say, okay, that was surprising. I find it very surprising. You got lucky. If Bernard Avle calls you today as an artist, right? You will obviously want to go into that interview knowing that Bernard is going to ask you questions, not just about your music. He's going to ask about how your contribution to the economy or the creative economy is giving Ghana whatever it is. Do you get what I'm saying? So you need to, the artists don't read or don't know about these profiles. And I stand to be corrected. They think, oh, if I'm going for an interview, they go ask me about my music, then Charlie, my project and things. No. Interviews or journalism has moved away from that. And I was saying this the last time that what the problem is, people have interviews with media personalities and people have interviews with journalists. There are two different things. A journalist can become a media personality. A media personality is not necessarily a journalist. So the style or the interview style of a media personality will definitely differ from a journalist, because like I said earlier before we even go into this conversation, as far as a journalist is concerned, his main mandate, his core mandate, is to inform, to educate, to guide, and to some point entertain. So if I'm asking you a question, I'm asking a question to either inform me or inform the public, educate myself or educate the public, or to some extent entertain the public. That is what our artists need to understand. When we are able to establish these things, the fan bases will now understand, okay, when my artist is coming to an interview, it's an opportunity for me to connect with my artist even further. But if you just see your artist as just that one who is just putting out music and whatnot, it makes me question the kind of following you are actually doing for the artist.
So in general, let's now focus on Ghana media. I know there's shortfalls in there, but in general, what is your opinion or feedback with, so far with Ghanaian media and how we handle Ghanaian-related conversations? You've given a very clear fine line between, a media practitioner, a media personality, and a journalist, which is very, very true. But in general, Ghanaian media, are we disconnecting celebrities from their fans by looking like agenda sets, which most celebrities carry that perception. You guys there every day, they keep passing comments. We can mention so many names of artists who have said that.
So I've gotten that too many times. So, yeah. I've had a very senior, I call him a media person.
Or are there other artists, right?
I had a very senior creative who sat on another platform and said, as for that girl, he used the F word, actually, as for that girl, F her interviews. She's always looking for headlines. I've had too many people like it. But I keep asking myself, what am I doing in this business? I'm supposed to unravel. No, I'm supposed to unravel something that people want to know. I'm supposed to ask questions. I think, if you ask me, that the problem is most of our celebrities do not know how to answer questions. And then when they goof, instead of saying, oh, I have answered the question and yet it's brought me trouble, let me now rethink of how to address it the next time something similar pops up. They now look to blame the person. And I keep saying, and I'm very raw about it, I don't put a gun to your head to answer the questions I ask you. It is my job to ask questions. It is your job to decide how to answer them. So when you answer them and it goes against you, you come and say, why did I ask you the question? My dear, why didn't you shut up? You understand? That's where I stand. So for me, I haven't interviewed a lot of personalities in this space. Many of them do not know how to answer questions. Secondly, many of them speak their truth, but when their truth is thrown back in their face, it becomes the journalist's problem. They speak their truth. They are very sure about what they are saying at the time they are speaking to you. But we all speak our truth, and sometimes we get hate from people for speaking our own truth. And when the hate becomes more, then they begin to say, but you've if you're not asking me that question. Or they say, of all the things I talk, why you publish that one? I've had people say that. Oh, but I talk plenty of things. Why didn't you? But I decide, it's my prerogative to decide what I want to push. If you've gone to say something somewhere, say for instance, we are all four of us are from different entities, and Jay Foley has interviewed a certain personality. The person talks about one story. Why should I go and repeat that story on my website? I could ask you that story, continue from that conversation that person had with you, and look for something else. I get really upset when maybe Cyril has an interview and says, my head is big because of this, that. And then Media B also comes to say, Cyril says his head is big. I've already read it online. What's different about your story anyway? So that is how come. And I always go with a very curious mind. What has he not said before? And if you watch most of the interviews that get maybe the traction, their interviews, check it, is what the person has said himself that the person is mostly feeding on. Mostly, they say loose things. You feed on their loose things, and it becomes headlines. And their problem is, why is this making headline? Many of our people.
Okay, just a whole brief for the the other
That's
side.
fine.
Don't you feel that sometimes too, because of how people pick things out of context? Yeah, like the DJ.
It's a different thing.
Pick things out of context. It limits the understanding of the whole thing.
That's fine. It's a different thing when you say Jay says, like this issue even with Stonebwoy, when he said that, oh, it looks like another man to him. A lot of people would have read a lot of meanings into it because of the space he finds himself.
Just better context. Stonebwoy says, if a woman is on top, it feels like another man. Just go ahead.
So people that when I heard him say
Just the
that,
context,
I was like, some community, even when it was he said some.
What has he been eating?
Oh, look at you. So I'm like, some people will, but that is his truth.
Yeah.
But some people come in and say, oh, he said, and say something not what exactly he said. So let's say, and please, all those who are listening, I don't want to use that example, because if I begin to make connect
let me help you. So, you know, one of the headlines from the breakfast in conversation in the US is that Stonebwoy likes it when women lie to him.
Oh yeah, I saw that.
That was actually one of the headlines.
Imagine we wrote it here.
Yes. Stonebwoy
Imagine we wrote that headline here.
And that was actually a question in regards to therapy.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
But the headline was because Charmaine asked him, why do you like it when women lie to you? And then it became a conversation. But the headline that they shared on their videos was Stonebwoy likes it when women lie to him.
Clickbait.
So what about if we did it here?
Then matter come.
So
but
it's how we spin it, really.
Okay.
I always feel like, I'm not going to sit here and act and pretend that there's nothing like negative press. There is intentional negative press.
Is there?
Oh yes.
How?
I think, and I don't want to introduce this whole bloggers journalism conversation, because what's the difference between blogger and journalism?
Jeffrey, let me just ask, because I hear this all the time, and I begin to ask myself, do these people who are tagged as people who are in charge or want to put out negative press, do they go sourcing out these info themselves, or the negative press comes from conversations?
Some people even try to create or engineer. I don't know if you remember this. There was a blogger who was actually invited to the police station because he wrote a story about Stonebwoy's child.
Okay. That's a different.
Do you get what I'm saying? So that's the extreme. Like that's the extreme. It's different from your actions becoming a headline. But sometimes, for whatever it may be it clout, whatsoever, people try to create headlines that have no bearings with any realistic action or realistic activity, just to either maybe get some following, clout, whatsoever. We can name a number of them. My issue is, at the end of the day, when you are in an interview, a good question is actually defined by how you respond to the question. You get what I'm saying? Like, if I ask you a question, right, and I'm going to bring this example again. When I ask Phil,
a bad answer could also be a reflection of a quote-unquote stupid question.
That's what I'm saying.
There's nothing like a stupid question.
So there are.
So,
no, it is the way you handle it.
I mean, me coming this morning to ask you.
Ask me.
I can't ask you.
So if you come this morning.
But also, another thing that I would also want to add quickly is the fact that to every job, there are optics, right? The optics are basically identifying where you are at the moment, the environment, applying emotional intelligence and reading into the person that you are interviewing. Because sometimes when you are talking to the person on the other side, right, you could tell that the person is not in the mood, right? And so if you're not careful and you ask a question, the person might even give you a very stupid answer. And I'm going to use Miss G's example. Pardon me if
go ahead.
Miss G, when she's it's a perfect example, right? She has just come out of a performance. She's all sweaty and tired and everything, and then there's so much noise. There's a lot of people talking, and Miss G asks, "Who's Wendy Shea?" And then she goes like, "That's a very, that's the optics, because at that point in time, okay, do I ask this question or I don't? You get it? Because I need to scout the area and find out if indeed the environment is ripe enough for me to ask this question. Now, if this same question was asked here, so Wendy Shea, who is Wendy Shea? Under that environment, Wendy Shea.
So Midge was wrong in asking that question at that time.
No, I'm just giving
giving
an example. I'm giving an example as to whether
But-
it's wrong or not. It depends on where you
But
sit.
then I'm going to ask you: is this my prerogative to begin to look at what environment I'm asking that question?
That's what I'm saying. That to every job, to every profession,
because for me,
there's an optic.
For me, every time I go into an interview, it might be the last time I'm seeing this person.
So you want to get.
I want to get what I want to get until you tell me that you're tired. Look, that same day, let me use this example. My camera was not rolling. I didn't even know, and I had what's the name of Flavor. And we had started the conversation. The guy forgot to roll his camera.
Hey.
And we had only 1 minute, 30 seconds. But the beauty for me is that the part that I was really interested in
was what you captured.
What you captured. So for me, what you're saying, I won't go into anything thinking about the environment. It's like, that's why I've gotten you. Look, and again, another example I'll give. I went to the AMA Awards in Nigeria in 2016. Look, it was a terrible environment. Like, the red carpet was choked.
Everybody's asking, everybody can get.
Everybody, and Peter Edochie is refusing an interview. RMD is refusing an interview. And they are working together and going. And I start screaming, please, I'm from Ghana. We love you in Ghana. Because for me, I need to bring that exclusive to my country.
Okay.
So for me, I will not.
But that also is the fantastic optics.
I will not think about the environment. So for me, again, maybe because my orientation is like, get the news and get out of here.
Right.
So, and then that's what you say, that if you're coming for an Miss G interview, you know that, Charlie, we are not playing.
That's your profile.
And
right?
again, the thing that we do not know is that the interviews are edited to suit where we want to project.
Okay.
And I'm going to go back to this case. There's never been an interview that doesn't start with an icebreaker for me.
Okay.
Because before I'll pamper you, sir, because I know where I'm going to, and I need to make you feel at home. So, again, in that same environment, we'll be like, oh, nice, beautiful performance, even if it was not nice. Beautiful performance. Oh, you did well, and people were dancing to it, blah, blah, blah. So that you're well settled in.
They should give you. But I realized your trousers was short.
Exactly.
Shorts.
So even in that,
can we focus?
so even in that optics you're saying, my duty is still to make the person feel at home. So with the noise and everything all over, if you cannot still answer how are you and all of that, then it means that the noise is your problem.
Right.
You know, but once you're able to answer how are you,
that means you're ready to go.
For me, you're ready to go. So there's no stopping.
But G,
I think that
and I've had people also who have said, I'm not answering this, and they've walked out. And it's not news.
Yeah.
Because you don't, again, I keep repeating, I cannot force you to answer my questions. When you open your mouth, you are liable to whatever you say.
I think it's a Ghanaian problem. The Ghanaian problem is knowing how to say no. Right? Like, even if you're not ready for something, you still take it.
Okay.
I don't think it's knowing how to say no. I think
want to summarize the question.
I don't think it's knowing how to say no.
Really,
I think there's a way to navigate the platform you are on and the person you are speaking to.
Right.
The investment in research needs to be both ways. Miss G is going to research the ish out of Olele. Right? While Olele is chilling thinking, oh, I'm a big boy, so... blah, blah. So it's already off balance. So she's going to come at you with questions that you probably haven't thought about in 10 years. Then you go vex. Because now you're feeling uncomfortable after one...
Expose your cracks.
So the press has a job to get its ratings. It has a job to make the news and make the news trend. We are on the same planet where shows like Jerry Springer were successes. Daytime TV. Even in Ghana here, we watch Jerry Springer like it was next door. So bad press has never been bad press. Scandal has never been bad press. If you are going into an interview and it's a Jay Foley, look at the demeanor of Jay Foley. How has he done his last 5 interviews? Where does he go? It's like going on delay. You wake up one morning, just go on delay. Wake up one morning, go and sit in front of Miss G. Of course, you are there to promote in the mind or in your mind. It's because of your new track you come here. But it's a 45 minutes interview. We're not going to talk about your track for 45 minutes, right? So you have to do some preparation. And I think the gap between this reality and expectation is that for a very long time, our artists have only focused on using the media as a promotional tool, as opposed to as a brand building tool. What Stonebwoy did was brand building.
Yeah, straight.
It wasn't promotional.
Straight.
Right? And there's a big difference. When you go on a platform for promotional, they'll talk about, that's what we do with the Song of the Day. That's promotional. This views, that views, it did this, blah, 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 blah. We're promoting that song. excuse me to say, the person's song we are promoting could be a serial killer, could be R. Kelly's song, but we can still promote the song and tell you all the stats and everything about it.
PR about it.
PR about the song without building the brand. The brand might be in shambles, in jail, but we can still promote the song. So it's a different thing. So when you're going on an interview, you need to know whether it's a brand building thing you are doing, which is PR. Brand building is PR, to go and present yourself as knowledgeable, as poised, as mature. Miss G asked the question that was tight. You laughed, you made a joke, you played it off. She said she didn't realize. Charlie, the guy, you see the way you swerved the question. What are you doing? You are building the brand, the perception around you.
Okay.
People have been asked worse questions.
So thanks. It's 9:40 something. I almost 10 minutes.
Already.
I cannot allow you guys to continue without me asking you this thing. You've said you've brilliantly.
Hey,
3-2-2. Fatwa.
No, what did I say?
Oh, I'll tell you what, it's a plenty. Why? We just say, why? Oh, relax. Before you ask the question, we are dealing with you. Let us deal with you. Sweetie, hello.
Something stuck on my lip.
No, it's a lie. We can see in HD. There's nothing on your lip.
So you have all brilliantly answered this question in favor of the media and its stance. And I like the fact that you have all spoken very well to favor what's because such is life. You speak what is in your favor, and it's nice. When Honorable Ken Oforiatta was about to go and face a certain committee recently,
Public Accounts Committee.
yes, with regards to declare certain spend and justify and all those things, I remember certain questions were asked, and I don't know, let me just reference and say the chairman or who was the head of the board or whatever at that point in time said that these questions you are asking weren't presented to the committee. So
this is his personal question.
So you cannot expect an answer from the defendant, if I can say that.
Right.
You cannot expect an answer. Then I realized that even at such levels, you have to give the person you're going to interview a certain space give me an idea of what you are going to talk about so that I can prepare.
True.
That Charlemagne paper document that was next to him gave me the indication that possibly Stonebwoy had been given hints of what we are going to look at. So go and look into it. There might be conversations that would dovetail into things, but at least you've given me a fair idea of what I've been on a delay interview. So I hope my
episode
reservations on how the interviews are held, but that's her style, so it's fine.
Once you agree to go there, it means that you know what you are in for.
No, that is wrong. So when that also tells me that it's a bit wrong the way we approach interviews, where you don't give the guests an idea of
does the guest request it and get denied?
Because
another question.
Because the thing is that if people's reactions, everybody would have a way. Person might not even be comfortable in the language I'm even speaking in.
Right.
Right. So
let alone how to express yourself well in that language. So I sometimes feel that media, especially in Ghana, sometimes we lose it a little bit with how we handle interviews. Some of us are based on experience, even that we have flaws. Some based on experience, like you rightly said, you build the conversation.
Ice breaking.
Because you know where you want to get to. But how many of other people even have that understand the person's emotions, based on how you are engaged with the person, how the person is answering questions, whether you want to throw that, is it necessary? Should I do it to put you in a certain corner to let you look bad on, even sometimes
how do I even have all of that at the back of my mind?
I was watching an interview, a Ghanaian media, now thanks for the clarification, media personality interview a guest. And the person made a mistake in the pronunciation of a certain word. And on air, it's a fine line between embarrassment when you try to correct the person and letting it go. But the person took on the mispronunciation or whatever it is and hammered hard on it and then actually paused and laughed and all that. Now, at that point in time, I felt that the guest might be laughing back with it, but trust me, there is a bit of discomfort in the person. So at that point in time, the person's presence in that space is already. I studied a lot of human mind psychology and stuff like that. The person spends a bigger chunk of his mind power trying to settle himself, about 80%, and uses 20% in engaging with you. At that point in time, how he or she analyzes things becomes, quote unquote, you can't expect anything sensible coming up from the person.
You kill the fire.
wants to speak when he's done.
So it is our responsibility as media to. There are days of hard questions, which
we
because
should be on Monday and Tuesday soft questions.
and then there's also a moment when you read the person's entire presence. For example, when Camilo came here, I like what you did. The boy was in a certain
It's
mood.
a bit tense, yeah.
So you calmed him down. But even in that, post the conversation, when we were done, we did mention that he had a lot of things going on in his mind. So there was no point in touching on certain things. And it was beautiful. Why? Because he was in the midst of possibly experienced personalities who know how to handle the situation. Example again, when another person came here, I think it was Wendy Shea. Or so. Was it Wendy Shea or another female? Yeah, I think it was Wendy Shea. But you kept quiet to listen to what she had to say. You understand? That was a mature way of managing, because it could have gone the other way. It could have gone down south. But how many of us sometimes, media personalities, even understand demeanor, moment, timing, mood of... And that's where we sometimes flip it and we get it wrong. And then it looks like we've set an agenda to just get the person. Because at the end of the day, do you also imagine, in the quest of... on the point you said, in the quest of trying to get the information we need, do we think of posts, what that would do to the person when people take it wrongly?
I don't think, because I don't know the answer.
Look at what happened.
Definition he gave.
Look at what happened.
For what you're saying, for what you're saying, based on Olele's definition he gave, are we having journalists doing entertainment content, trying to find interviews? And are we having situations where we have media personalities who are delving into the realm of journalism in their quest to have entertaining content? Do we have square pegs in round holes, and round holes in square pegs in the media space? Because the question you're asking about follow-up, how you perceive it, how the person would react, all these are training that journalists would know. Body language, how to read it. Somebody's doing this at your interview, they are pensive, you calm them down, they are tapping their leg, you know that you are going. Body language, media, I've been on TV for 2 minutes. I've not gone to any journalist. I've not gone to any journalism, blah blah. So there might be
nobody hear what I said.
the journalism tricks of the trade, the knowledge, the parameters, the things you need to know as a seasoned journalist. I don't know them because I've not gone to journalism formal training, right?
But your St. Peter's skill.
Yeah, just common sense. I'm just winging it, bro. Yeah. Right?
You understand?
Right. Yes, but do we have more serials sitting in front of more sarcodias asking pungent, hardcore questions that end only at...
And that's why you see what has made... it's sad when people will carry a certain perception about maybe someone like Miss G. I'll tell you what. Because now... so many media organizations as agendas, like when they have you, the first thing the person is to. So it even makes those who are genuine, like you are asking the question because you want an answer. Yeah. You understand? It makes then people like Miss you look bad.
Yeah.
Because a lot of people have gotten it wrong.
Yeah.
Well, you
from
see,
the onset.
For me, when you kept asking, I said to myself that look, there are days when. Let's even not take Kamido. Mishasha was here recently. When I was at my other platform, Mishasha's sister had died, I think a day before the morning she was coming for the interview. Ooh. And whilst we were speaking, the girl started crying. Live on TV. So, again, you're human. So you begin to ask, what's the problem? Blah, blah. And then she said, my sister I just got news that my sister, or who is my sponsor or something like had passed. I don't remember who exactly, but her family member. So the tone of conversation obviously will change. In this training, you're told that when is news about death, and there's even a way you pitch your voice. Yeah. To speak about death, bad news, and all of that. And then you resume when you move away from that. But again, if you're having a conversation, let me refer to a conversation I did some time past when Amachide's manager died. We're having a conversation. You could see tears in his eyes. At that point, the cameraman zoomed in. Now, he will do two things for him. Show people how he feels about the death. We could also have said, pause, let him finish whatever, and go on. Same people will come on social media, just like yesterday I was seeing, and I have to make reference to it because I saw it on social media. The gospel artist called Didier, Perpetua Didier, was saying here. Yeah. Somebody typed, and you are not crying, no tears has fallen.
The brother who died.
The brother had died, and they say, oh, no tears has fallen from your eyes. So imagine if it was an interview, and I said, oh, let's pause. In that interview, I said, let's pause. Let him shed his tear, and we'll continue. Somebody might also come and say, but he's not shedding any tear or whatever. So it does, the way we read meanings to things are totally different. You could have a genuine heart. You could explain yourself 20,000 times. It still wouldn't work. What people have decided to take into their heart or into their mind or the perception they want to keep is what they hold dear to themselves. Mm-hmm. Look, there have been interviews. Look, whoever remembers that I picked this guy from the street, the guy who did the thing with Abraham Mata. And followed up to the police station, was harassed by the guy who took his money, followed up to the police station, made sure that the family got the money the guy had taken from them. Who remembers that? Nobody remembers. And I don't care because it is the job I am doing. Who remembers that striker story? The number of times he had to go to the police station, chasing with the family, going to call those people. Even the guy who had taken his money, at the time, at this point, he feels I'm his enemy. Yeah. You understand? There's been many stories.
So the guy threw the money.
Oh, Charlie, that was another story. There's been many stories, but people will choose to react to other ones the way they were. Look at even, let me bring this one that I always don't want to talk about. Look at the TT story.
Yeah, that one.
Everybody forgets when I went to TT's house, used my face to, seek for funds for him, and something had gone wrong. Everybody says, oh, you are disgracing the man because he came. But for TT going back on radio to say, I gave him an iPhone, nobody remembered, nobody even knew I gave him an iPhone that I'd taken from US for him. But for him saying, I contributed to his medical bills, nobody knew. But when the issue came, everybody saying, you're disgracing the man.
Tomorrow's Culture Daily is titled Miss G.
And come and blame the media at the end of the day. But my last submission is that the media is nobody's PR machine. Nobody's. We don't owe anybody anything. Personally, I don't owe anybody anything. I run the stories. If I misquote you, it's big deal. But if you tell me what and I decide which part of it to publish and I publish, I do not owe you anything. Maybe you should learn how to respond to things next time.
I just want to say that
VC, 1 minute.
We don't have.
I just want to say that I love you.
We don't have enough trained journalists doing entertainment.
Yeah. Big deal.
Entertainment stories or whatever. We have a lot of media personalities doing that.
A lot of serials.
It's not hold on. The time is up.
I have to shoot myself before they shoot me.
You've seen media personalities who have grown on the job and become fantastic journalists, right?
20 seconds.
But I'm saying that if you go to school, you want to study journalism and everything.
You are now talking romantically.
You are supposed to end the show at 10 o'clock.
Happy birthday to Kwame Eugene.
Happy birthday to Kwame Eugene. If only they were in the control room,
you have 60 seconds.
Slash my neck off.
Guys, we have to go.
Our time is up. We're back here same time tomorrow. Do enjoy the rest of the day right here on 3 Music as well as on Plus 89.9 FM. It's JC Real, Miss G, and Olel. We out.